That $60 bag of premium, grain-free kibble sitting in your pantry right now might accidentally be a beautifully packaged ticket to sudden, silent heart failure for your dog. Think about the last time you stood in the dog food aisle at your local pet store. You find yourself completely paralyzed, staring at a colossal, dizzying wall of 50 different bags. The visual manipulation is intense. One bag features a majestic wolf sprinting through a pristine, snow-capped wilderness, appealing to your desire for something pure and ancestral. Another bag is a vibrant tapestry of bright reds and deep greens, loudly boasting about farm-fresh, vine-ripened vegetables and exotic wild-caught meats like kangaroo or venison. A third brand uses minimalist, medical-grade packaging to trick your brain into thinking it was formulated in a clean, sterile lab. You pick up one of these heavy bags, flip it over, and look at the price tag. $50, $70, maybe $90. You pay it without a second thought. You pay it gladly because you love your dog with every single fiber of your being. You truly believe that by spending this hard-earned money, you are purchasing a definitive guarantee of health, happiness, and vibrant longevity for your absolute best friend. You carry that heavy bag into your house. You slice it open, pour those dry pellets into a clean bowl, and watch your companion wag their tail in pure excitement. You walk away thinking you have done an incredible job as a pet parent. But what if the entire experience was a carefully orchestrated trap? What if the commercial pet food industry is actually a multi-billion-dollar marketing machine designed explicitly to trick your human psychology rather than satisfy your dog's true biological requirements? My name is Katja Berger. I am a veterinary nutrition researcher and clinical advocate, and I have spent my entire career analyzing the precise, raw mechanics of canine physiology and how it interacts with commercial processing. Every single day in labs and clinical consultation rooms, we are forced to witness the devastating, quiet consequences of a broken corporate food system. We see the tragic results of nutritional choices driven by clever boardroom advertisings rather than peer-reviewed veterinary science. I am talking about young, vibrant, seemingly healthy dogs dropping dead from preventable, diet-induced cardiac failures. I am talking about chronic, low-grade cellular inflammation, early-stage renal stress, and severely accelerated metabolic aging. The hard, clinical reality is that multinational conglomerates know exactly how to exploit your deep love for your pet. They use unregulated, emotionally charged words like holistic, premium, natural, and human grade to bypass your critical thinking. Do you want to know a terrifying truth? From a strict regulatory standpoint, those terms are completely meaningless. They carry zero legal or medical weight. They are designed to empty your wallet while compromising your dog's internal organs. Right now, the specific food sitting in your kitchen could be actively cutting your dog's life short. It is a deeply uncomfortable, highly polarizing topic, but it is a crisis that we can no longer afford to ignore. This is not about guilt. A fed dog is a loved dog, and every single pet owner out there is trying their absolute best with the information they have available. But the information you have been fed by clever marketing campaigns is a dangerous illusion. Today, we are completely smashing that illusion. We are doing a deep, uncompromising dive into the commercial pet food industry to expose the hidden threats hiding in plain sight. I am going to walk you through the specific, highly popular categories of dog food that you must absolutely never buy if your goal is to see your dog reach a thriving, active senior age past 12, 14, or 15 years old. We will break down the severe dangers of bargain bin budget foods that rely on anonymous animal waste and toxic chemical stabilizers. More importantly, we are going to dissect the upper tier, high-end marketplace, the very space where well-meaning owners spend fortunes on boutique, exotic, and grain-free diets, completely unaware that these specific formulations are linked to a silent, fatal heart condition. We will analyze the shocking lack of oversight in how pet food is formulated, expose the sneaky ingredient-splitting tricks companies use to manipulate it palatable, and reveal the everyday mistakes you are making right now, Noom, in your own kitchen that accidentally contaminate your pup's food. But I promise you, I will not leave you stranded in the panic of what not to do. Before the end of this video, I am going to give you the exact names of the only 5 safe brands that world-class veterinary scientists and board-certified nutritionists globally actually trust and feed to their own animals. I will explain the precise, rigorous scientific benchmarks that separate these 5 heritage brands from the rest of the unresearched pack. If you love your dog, if you want to protect their vital organs from silent damage, and if you want to claim control over their true genetic longevity, brace yourself. Let's look directly at the facts. To truly understand how a bag of food can quietly destroy your dog's health from the inside out, we have to look directly at what happens when the first subtle symptoms emerge. In the real world, it rarely starts with a dramatic crisis. It starts with small, innocent-looking signs that most owners completely brush off as simple quirks or mild seasonal issues. Your dog begins scratching at their flanks a little more than usual. They start intensely licking or chewing on their front paws, leaving the fur damp and discolored. You might notice a faint, slightly sweet or yeasty odor coming from their ears, or a sudden dullness in a coat that used to be beautifully glossy. Maybe their stools are slightly loose every few days, or they experience occasional bouts of morning bile vomiting on an empty stomach. To the untrained eye, these seem like minor annoyances. You assume they brushed against a strange plant outside, or that they simply have a sensitive stomach. But inside your dog's body, a completely different, highly dangerous physiological process has already been violently triggered. What you are actually witnessing is the outward manifestation of chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation and a rapidly collapsing gut barrier. When a dog consistently ingests biologically inappropriate, highly processed ingredients, the tight junctions of their intestinal wall begin to degrade. This leads directly to a medical phenomenon known as intestinal hyperpermeability, or leaky gut. At the microscopic level, undigested foreign protein fragments, environmental toxins, and pathogenic bacteria slip straight through the compromised gut lining and enter the bloodstream. The canine immune system instantly recognizes these circulating fragments as dangerous invaders and goes into a state of perpetual, hyperactive overdrive. This constant immune mobilization floods the body with pro-inflammatory cytokines, which travel via the vascular system to the skin, joints, and vital organs. The paw licking and intense scratching are not just local skin irritations. They are the visible alarm bells of an internal immune system that is actively attacking its own tissues due to chronic nutritional stress. The long-term statistical reality of this systemic breakdown is staggering. Peer-reviewed epidemiological data from veterinary universities across Europe and North America confirms that modern domestic dogs are facing an unprecedented epidemic of metabolic and degenerative diseases. Canine obesity rates have climbed past 55% globally, acting as a massive driver for early-onset type 2 diabetes, severe hepatic lipidosis, fatty liver disease, and devastating osteoarthritis. Even more terrifying is the explosion of cancer diagnoses. Current clinical statistics reveal that 1 in every 2 dogs over the age of 10 will develop a malignant neoplasm. While genetics certainly play a baseline role, Veterinary oncologists increasingly point to lifetime dietary exposure, specifically the consumption of highly advanced glycation end products found in ultra-processed kibble, as a massive environmental trigger for cellular mutations. Let's look at a concrete case from my research archive that perfectly illustrates this silent progression. A 4-year-old golden retriever named Max was brought into a metropolitan clinic for a routine checkup. To his dedicated simps, Max appeared to be the picture of health. He was energetic, had a hearty appetite, and his only apparent issue was that he frequently licked his front paws and occasionally chewed his nails. His owners thought it was a harmless nervous habit or a minor grass allergy. They had him on a highly popular, wildly expensive boutique grain-free food featuring exotic venison and chickpeas, paying nearly $100 a bag. When the veterinarian performed a routine physical examination, everything seemed baseline. But when they placed a stethoscope over Max's chest, they detected an incredibly subtle low-grade heart murmur that had never been noted before. The clinic immediately ordered an echocardiogram, an advanced ultrasound of the heart structure. The visual imagery on the screen shocked everyone. Max did not have a congenital genetic defect. He was in the mid-stages of diet-induced dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM. The muscular walls of his left ventricle, which are responsible for pumping freshly oxygenated blood throughout the entire systemic circulation, had become dangerously thin, stretched out, and flaccid. The heart muscle had lost its primary contractility, meaning it could no longer pump blood efficiently. Fluid was already beginning to back up microscopically into his pulmonary tissues inside Max's body. A severe deficiency in taurine and critical myocardial amino acids had been quietly starving his heart cells for over 18 months. If his owners had waited another 6 months until obvious clinical signs of heart failure appeared, such as a persistent soft cough, exercise intolerance, or sudden fainting spells, Max would have likely collapsed and died on a routine morning walk. His owners were completely devastated. They were spending a significant portion of their monthly income on a food they genuinely believed was the pinnacle of canine nutrition, completely unaware that the high concentration of legumes in that specific recipe was actively blocking their dog's ability to synthesize the vital nutrients required to keep his heart beating. This is the true scale of the pet food crisis. The damage accumulates in absolute silence over months and years. Your dog cannot tell you that their pancreas is under immense oxidative stress, trying to produce enough amylase to break down a massive overload of cheap carbohydrates. They cannot tell you that their kidneys are quietly straining every single day to filter out synthetic chemical waste, artificial coloring agents, and unstable rancid fats. They simply eat what you place in front of them, wag their tails, and rely entirely on your ability to see past the marketing graphics on the bag. By the time a dog shows overt physical symptoms of organ failure or metabolic collapse, the internal biological damage is frequently advanced, deeply entrenched, and highly difficult to reverse. We have to stop looking at dog food as merely a convenience item in a bowl and start viewing it exactly what it is, a powerful, direct pharmacological input that either builds cellular resilience or actively accelerates biological decay with every single bite. To understand why 99% of well-meaning owners make critical mistakes every single day, we have to expose the exact mechanics of the standard methods sold in pet stores. The modern pet food market is entirely built on an illusion of variety, using sneaky labeling tricks that exploit gaps in regulatory laws. The single biggest deception happening in the pet store right now is a practice known as ingredients splitting. This is a highly calculated formulation trick used by manufacturers to make cheap, low-quality fillers appear lower on the ingredient list than they actually are. By law, pet food manufacturers must list ingredients in descending order by their raw, pre-cooked weight. Knowing that modern consumers want to see a whole meat source like chicken or beef at the absolute top of the list, companies strategically split a single cheap carbohydrate filler into multiple smaller subcomponents on the label. For instance, a company will take a massive volume of cheap corn or peas and break it down into ground yellow corn, corn gluten meal, and corn flour, or whole peas, pea protein, and pea flour. Because these split components are weighed individually, their independent weights drop significantly, allowing them to fall neatly behind the whole meat source on the ingredient panel. In reality, if you were to recombine those split components back into their single parent category, the true volume of corn or peas would completely dwarf the meat source, sometimes by a ratio of 3-to-1. You think you are buying a premium meat-based diet, but at a molecular and logical level, you are actually paying premium prices for a bag that consists primarily of cheap, hyper-processed plant starch. This brings us directly to the mechanical failure of the heavily marketed grain-free movement. When boutique brands removed traditional, highly stable grains like oats, sorghum, and brown rice from their formulas to satisfy human diet trends, they faced a massive manufacturing crisis. Dry kibble cannot physically exist without starch. You cannot run pure meat through an industrial extruder machine and get it to form a solid, shelf-stable pellet. It will simply crumble into a greasy paste. To solve this, manufacturers flooded the grain-free formulations with massive amounts of cheap legumes, specifically peas, lentils, and chickpeas at a biological level. This created a catastrophic domino effect inside the canine body. Dogs are opportunistic carnivores. Their short, highly acidic digestive tracts are evolutionarily optimized to break down animal-sourced proteins into essential amino acids. When you saturate a dog's digestive system with high levels of plant-based proteins from legumes, you completely disrupt their internal nutrient absorption. Legumes are naturally packed with anti-nutrients, specifically phytic acid and lectins. These anti-nutrients bind tightly to critical minerals like zinc, iron, and magnesium within the small intestines, rendering them completely bio-unavailable to the dog's body. More dangerously, veterinary cardiologists and nutritional researchers have discovered that these extreme levels of legumes actively interfere with the synthesis and bioavailability of taurine and its precursor amino acids, methionine and cysteine. Taurine is absolutely non-negotiable for cardiac health. It regulates intracellular calcium homeostasis, maintains myofibril structural integrity, and prevents oxidative stress within the myocytes, the muscle cells of the heart. When a dog's body is starved of these bioavailable animal amino acids due to legume interference, the cardiac muscle cells literally begin to weaken and stretch out, directly triggering the onset of dilated cardiomyopathy, ASA. The standard commercial response to this issue has been to simply sprinkle synthetic taurine into the recipe after the fact. But this is a fundamentally flawed Band-Aid solution. It completely ignores the underlying logical and biological reality. A synthetic supplement cannot fix a diet that is actively blocking nutrient pathway absorption at the mucosal level of the gut, beyond the boutique trends. The hidden dangers residing in extreme budget or generic grocery store foods are even more alarming. These brands rely heavily on what the industry calls unnamed animal sources. When a label reads meat and bone meal or poultry byproduct without explicitly naming the species, it represents a massive red flag for biological safety. Under current regulatory guidelines, an unnamed designation allows a manufacturing plant to source whatever raw rendered animal waste happens to be the absolute cheapest on the global open commodities market on any given morning. This introduces massive, unpredictable fluctuations in the protein and fat profiles of every single batch. A dog's gastrointestinal microbiome relies entirely on metabolic stability, forcing their digestive tract to constantly adapt to wildly shifting, anonymous protein structures, destroys beneficial gut bacteria, leading to chronic dysbiosis and severe immune system degradation. Furthermore, to prevent these unstable animal fats from going violently rancid during long-term storage in warm warehouses, budget brands routinely utilize cheap, synthetic chemical preservatives, BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, and BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene. While the pet food lobby aggressively defends these chemicals as safe in microscopic quantities, independent toxicological studies paint a profoundly disturbing picture. BHA and BHT are classified as known animal carcinogens and potent endocrine disruptors. When a dog ingests these powerful chemical compounds twice a day, every single day for a decade, the toxic load accumulates directly within the filtration tissues of the liver and kidneys. This constant chemical exposure induces chronic cellular mutations, slowly and invisibly laying the absolute groundwork for early-stage organ failure or malignant tumors. You might think you are saving $50 a month on your household pet food bill by picking up that colorful, budget-friendly bag at the supermarket. But the hard, scientific reality is that you are simply deferring that cost, with massive interest, to a future of astronomically expensive emergency veterinary interventions. The commercial system is entirely designed to capitalize on convenience and marketing aesthetics, completely bypassing the evolutionary and physiological reality of the animal sitting at your feet. Reclaiming your dog's health does not require a massive financial investment or overly complicated routines. It requires a hard return to verifiable science, biological logic, and strict hygiene protocols inside your own kitchen. The absolute first step in eliminating the root cause of nutritional stress is a complete overhaul of how we store dry kibble. 99% of owners purchase an expensive plastic storage bin, cut open the dog food bag, and dump the loose pellets straight into the container. This is a catastrophic mistake. Dog kibble is intentionally coated in unstable animal fats and essential oils during the manufacturing process to make it palatable. The moment you pour loose food into a plastic bin, those oils instantly seep into the microscopic pores of the plastic walls. Over time, exposure to oxygen causes these trapped fats to undergo lipid oxidation. They turn violently rancid. Even if you scrub the bin with boiling water and dish soap, the rancid chemical residue remains embedded in the plastic. When you dump your next fresh food, it is immediately cross-contaminated. Ingesting rancid fat causes severe chronic gastrointestinal distress, destroys fat-soluble vitamins, and introduces dangerous free radicals that accelerate systemic aging. The immediate, zero-cost vet-approved fix is simple. Keep the kibble inside its original bag. Pet food packaging is highly engineered, using multi-layered laminate linings specifically designed to block oxygen, light, and moisture migration. Take the entire bag, roll the top down tightly, seal it with a heavy clip, and place the entire bag inside your plastic storage container to keep pests out. The second critical home intervention is the daily sanitization of feeding vessels. A dog's saliva mixed with microscopic kibble debris creates a high-density biofilm that serves as a pristine breeding ground for dangerous pathogens like Salmonella, E. coli, and aggressive yeast strains. If you simply add fresh kibble on top of yesterday's crumbs, your dog is ingesting millions of pathogenic bacteria with every mouthful, placing an unnecessary heavy load on their immune system. Wash both food and water bowls every single day using hot, soapy water or run them through a high-heat dishwasher cycle. The final, most profound lifestyle adjustment you can make at home is strict portion control. Clinical data shows that keeping your dog at a lean, ideal body condition score extends their lifespan by an average of 2 whole years compared to overweight dogs. Extra weight is not just extra padding. Adipose tissue is a highly active endocrine organ that pumps a constant stream of inflammatory hormones into the bloodstream, ravaging joints and overloading the cardiovascular system. You must be able to easily feel your dog's ribs without pressing hard, and they should display a clearly visible abdominal tuck when viewed from the side. When it comes to selecting a safe commercial food, you must bypass boutique marketing and look exclusively for brands that meet and exceed the global safety standards established by the World Small Animal Veterinary Association, or WSAA. Unlike small boutique companies that rely on third-party manufacturing plants and freelance recipe formulators, the companies that pass these rigorous benchmarks own their entire production supply chain and employ permanent, full-time, board-certified veterinary nutritionists and PhD researchers. These experts conduct extensive, multi-year feeding trials to guarantee that the nutrients printed on the label are actually bioavailable and safe for long-term consumptions. There are exactly 5 heritage brands globally that veterinary scientists, board-certified nutritionists, and clinical researchers uniformly trust Purina, specifically their Purina Pro Plan and Purina One lines, Royal Canin, Hills Science Diet, Eukanuba, and IAMS. The stark, mechanical difference between these trusted options and the flashier boutique alternatives comes down to 3 non-negotiable safety pillars. Dedicated scientific staffing. These 5 brands employ massive, permanent teams of veterinary specialists who analyze ingredient interactions at a cellular level, ensuring no anti-nutrients interfere with vital amino acid pathways like taurine synthesis. Rigorous live feeding trials. Instead of relying on a computer spreadsheet to guess if a recipe is balanced, these companies conduct extensive long-term testing on real, living dogs over generations, constantly monitoring blood chemistry, organ function, and cardiac health via advanced echocardiograms. Flawless, in-house quality control. These heritage brands own their manufacturing plants, meaning they do not risk deadly cross-contamination with other commercial labels. They test every single batch of incoming raw ingredients for heavy metals, salmonella, and lethal mycotoxins before production even begins. And they retest the finished bags before they ever leave the facility. If you discover that you are currently feeding a food from our red flag list, do not panic and do not feel guilt. You made choices based on the highly sophisticated marketing tools designed to deceive you. Now that you possess this clinical knowledge, you are completely empowered to make a safe, logical change for your pet's future, to transition your dog to a safer food safely. You must do it gradually over a 7 to 10 day period to protect their sensitive gut microbiome. For the first 3 days, mix 75% of the old food with 25% of the new food. For days 4 through 6, shift to a 50-50 split. By days 7 through 9, feed 25% of the old food combined with 75% of the new food before transitioning completely on day 10. This slow adaptation prevents acute pancreatic stress and gastrointestinal irritation. Every single bowl of food you place down for your companion is a powerful opportunity to influence their biology. It is a direct chance to protect their heart, shield their filtration organs, and grant them extra years of vibrant health by your side. By ignoring corporate marketing fads, refusing dangerous chemical preservatives, and relying strictly on peer-reviewed veterinary science, you take absolute control over your dog's longevity. Thank you for investing your time to look past the advertising lies and prioritize true biological facts. If this breakdown brought clarity to your journey as a pet parent, support this educational mission by interacting with the video directly. Share your current feeding routine and your thoughts on this evidence in the comment section below so we can keep building a community of empowered owners. Take action today. Apply these structural changes to your kitchen routine and give your companion the long, resilient life they truly deserve.